list, I can't find my Santa hat. Black Christmas. A group of sorority sisters are throwing a party when they begin to get a series of nasty phone calls from a random person they describe as the Moaner.
I'm going to kill you.
They probably tell him to go to hell, not knowing that he's actually taking up residence in the top floor of the house, and he doesn't take it too well. He spends the rest of the time murdering them throughout the night and hiding the bodies. The last surviving girl, Jess, believes that her boyfriend is actually the killer and tries to escape him. Does she make it out alive? Well, you'll have to see for yourself. Right here. Yup, she kills him in self-defense, but he's not the caller.
Agnes, it's me, Billy.
Not only is this one of the earliest examples of a slasher film in history, but it's also one that stands up to this day. It doesn't seem that dated despite being made in the 70s. It's got a pretty original story. I mean, nobody thought until this that you could make a slasher movie centered around Christmas. This is considered the first official slasher film. I mean, people have been killed in movies before, but it was never shot to this extent or style. Both these arguments go out the window if you consider that Silent Night, Deadly Night is a slasher film and was made before this. But this one did it better because this one was actually scary.
Who are you? For God's sake, what are you doing?
I know what you did, Billy! Filthy Billy! Billy! Billy!
You never see the killer in the entire movie, and it makes for an all-in-all scarier experience for all the right reasons. Most of my favorite horror movie characters are ones without backstories, without reason, if possible, without a face. Which is what a lot of horror movie remakes get wrong all the damn time. A slasher villain you know the least about is going to be the most unpredictable, the most interesting, and all in all the more effective. Which is why the Moaner is so well portrayed here. You never see his whole body or even parts of his face. You only hear his maniacally soft voice or just his screams. His tortured, crazy screams. There's also a lot of creativity for the deaths in this movie. The best is probably when Barb is stabbed to death with a ceramic unicorn. I know it sounds stupid, but stay with me. She's stabbed in bed while there's other people in the house, but they're distracted by carolers outside and can't hear her screams. That's disturbingly original. One of the more iconic stills from the movie is where the killer suffocates somebody with saran wrap. It doesn't look like much of a scare until they show you that her body's been propped up in the window for the entire rest of the film unnoticed. Sometimes it's the little things that get me with these movies, and for me, it's this little shot of the bag that's in the girl's mouth, showing just how painful and terrifying a death like that must have been. Somebody had to write that and film it, and it was probably Bob Clark for both. And I want to remind you that this is the same Bob Clark who directed A Christmas Story. There's also two scenes from Black Christmas that directly inspired some amazing horror scares in the future. There's the scene where they have the policeman trace the call that they've been getting all day, and he tells her to leave because, well...
The caller is in the house.
The calls are coming from the house.
Jess!
Jess, get up!
Yeah, this is the same exact infamous caller twist from the movie When a Stranger Calls. It's actually pretty much all that that movie is known for. And ironically, one of the alternate titles for this movie was called Stranger in the House. The other scene is... just look at this and tell me it doesn't remind you of anything. The entire first-person following the killer thing that made the opening of John Carpenter's Halloween so iconic, it came from this movie. And it also inspired a remake, which was produced by Bob Clark himself. And it is right up there with The Wicker Man of one of my most hated remakes of a brilliant horror movie.
You're my family now.
Black Christmas.
It really takes all the scares and creativity out of the film, and it just feels rushed and half-hearted. I hate it. I hate it so goddamn much.
I really don't think you should provoke somebody like that, Barb.
But this is really an underrated classic with some good scares, some innovative death scenes, and all in all, a good premise. And it's well acted all the way through. It even gave Margot Kidder a Canadian Film Award for Best Actress.
That's what you're all thinking. Why don't you just come right out and say it? You think that I drove her away? And if she's dead, you're gonna blame me.
And before I wrap up this review, there's one more thing that I want to bring up. I was introduced to this movie through a trailer that a friend showed me online, and the entire reason I wanted to see this was just one line at the very end, and it's one of the most brilliantly poetic descriptions of a horror movie I've ever heard.
Black Christmas. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Merry Christmas.